What is good, people? Welcome back to another video on 8 Count. In today's video, we've got our fight picks for UFC 283, which is going down this weekend in Brazil. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Leave comments in the comment section down below, giving me your picks, and we'll highlight them on the next video. But yes, guys, last weekend did not go to plan. We started the year 2 out of 5. We got the Damon Jackson, Soriano, and Caitlin Vieira pick wrong, the Strickland and the Umar pick correct. This week, we definitely want to do a little bit better than that. We're going to kick things off in the main event, Glover Teixeira taking on Jamal Hill. For me, I see this fight could go either way pretty easily. It's definitely a close fight, and I think coming into it, Jamal Hill is the slight favourite. And I guess we could start off with Jamal Hill. He's been on absolute tear since the Paul Craig loss. Wins over Jimmy Crute, Johnny Walker, and Thiago Santos, all by knockout. And I think those wins all highlighted sort of parts of his game which are really strong. And, that is in the stand-up. I think what makes him so special is his ability to kind of close distance within a blink of an eye. He's got great knockout power in either hand. And, that definitely could be a very viable way to victory for him in this fight. I could easily see him getting a knockout win over Glover. I mean, you look at Glover over recent sort of history and his fights, he's definitely taken a lot more damage than he did earlier on in his career. We look back at his sort of history and, the win, the loss against Prohaska, there was a lot of missed opportunities and he took a lot of damage in that fight as well. Same with the Thiago Santos fight. He did get the win there, but there was a lot of damage, kind of involved with it. And I do wonder, as Glover has gotten to that later age, has his defense started to fall off a bit? Because he is taking a lot more damage. The one thing you can always say about Glover, though, he's got this sort of killer mentality where he's able to recover super quick. In this fight, I do think it comes down to if Glover can, insert his wrestling at some point in the fight. I do believe his wrestling is at a different level to Jamal Hill. And I think if he gets him down, he definitely has the ability to break him. Last fight against Prohaska, he got chances in that fight and he kind of fumbled them away. Mistakes made by him that we haven't really seen in the past. For me, though, in this fight, I'm going to have to pick Glover. I believe that he has the least question marks about him. I believe that he's in a position in his career where maybe he is a little bit over the hill now. Maybe he's not prime time. And to be honest, we probably missed his prime when he was outside the UFC. But with Jamal Hill, you've got guys coming in 11-1 in his UFC career in his MMA career, sorry. And I think there's a lot more question marks about him. I think this might be a bit too early for him. I think over the 5 rounds, I just favour Glover. I think there's a chance and a huge chance that Jamal Hill can get him out of there early. Like I said, his ability to close distance is among the best in the UFC, just to be kind of pull it out there. And I do worry for Glover and his chin because he has looked more deceptible in recent fights. But I'm going to pick Glover. I think he's going to get him out of there in the 3rd round. Some sort of ground and pound finish. I believe the 1st round could be a bit cagey for him. But in the 2nd round, I think he dominates with his sort of ground and pound style. And the 3rd round, he gets him out of there. The co-main event, this is as hard as it gets to call for me. Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo. For Figueiredo, his last fights have all been against Moreno. They had the draw in the 1st fight. He lost the 2nd one via RNC. And the 3rd fight was a unanimous decision victory. For Moreno, on the other hand, he has been slightly busier. Since the fights with Figueiredo, he took on Kai Kara France in a rematch. He was able to get the victory inside the 3rd round via TKO finish. And for me, I think that's kind of been impressive about Moreno since kind of, getting to the sort of stage in his career when he got cut from the UFC. After coming back, he's really shown that ability to become that well-rounded mixed martial artist. I think in terms of both of them, I think that Brandon Moreno by far is the more well-rounded of the two. I think his wrestling game is the better of the two. I don't think he's as good in the grappling in terms of a pure grappling style, but in terms of MMA, he's made it work for him. And in the stand-up, I'd say he's the more well-rounded striker. I think Figueiredo's definitely got that sort of finishing power, which Moreno certainly lacks, but I do think Moreno's the better mixed martial artist. It just comes down to the fact that this fight is in Brazil. The troubles with Moreno's camp, the James Krause situation, You know, he kind of moved there, and I thought he looked good in the TEIXEIRA France fight. You know, I think he kind of took his foot off the gas a little bit too early and let TEIXEIRA France get back into that fight. I think Figueiredo, on the other hand, the fact that this fight is in Brazil is kind of huge for him. I've had question marks over him in his career, especially in the Moreno fights. The first fight, he just had that sort of ability where it didn't look like Moreno could hurt him at all. And he was just hunting him down, and he should have got the win in that one. But obviously the point taken away was a huge factor in the draw. In the second fight, he really didn't look himself. But in the third fight, I thought he looked really good. So it's hard to pick this one. I'm going to go with Moreno. I think he gets it done by a decision. I think it's going to be tough. I think the keys to victory are going to be that sort of high output that he has. You know, I don't think the grappling exchanges, unless he can get Figueiredo to a extent where he's sort of very fatigued, are going to go in his favour. I think what we've seen from Figueiredo in the grappling, especially when he's fresh, his scrambles are just of the highest level, and he could give anyone nightmares on the ground. And I don't think that's anything to take away from Moreno's ground game. I think it's very good, but I just think, you know, Figueiredo is of that highest level. I think this fight's going to come down to, you know, who's going to be the smarter striker, who's going to use their sort of, I guess you could say, frame and their ability to their sort of use. And I think that fight's going to be Moreno. I think he's going to get it done. I think it's going to be a close fight. I'm going to go, you know, probably 48, 47, something like that. I think it's going to be pretty tight. I'm going to go with Moreno win now. In the third fight of the card, we got Gilbert Burns taking on Neil Magny, and for me, I think this is a real tough fight for Magny. We know he's got that sort of work rate, which means he can go all day, but, you know, having that work rate's kind of had that sort of counteractive sort of ability where he doesn't have that sort of stopping power. And I just don't think he's going to be able to keep Gilbert Burns off him. I think Burns is going to get a finish here, maybe in the first round. I could see a submission on the cards. I see cage wrestling being a big sort of thing in this fight. I think Gilbert will get him against the fence and will get him down. But in all honesty, I think Gilbert could take this fight wherever he wants and win it. I think it's a very winnable fight for him. And if he isn't winning this one, I think there's going to have to be question marks, you know, made about him. I'm going to go with Gilbert Burns, though, like I said. Lauren Murphy versus Jessica Andrade. This fight just feels like these two are just going to butt heads in the middle of the octagon. Two forward-thinking fighters, like to be on the front foot. I'm just going to have to give the edge to Andrade. I think in terms of her technique, she's the better fighter. I think she's probably the stronger of the two, despite coming up, you know, wow, it's a weird one with her, right? 'Cause she went down from 135 to 115. Now she's coming up to 125. I just think she's going to give Lauren Murphy troubles. And the thing with Lauren Murphy is she's very similar to last week's pick, Raquel Pennington, where she is, I guess, sometimes on the eye, not the perfect sort of fighter to watch. And there seems to be these holes in her game, but she's just got that grittiness, and I wouldn't be surprised if she wins this, but I'm going to go with an Andrade win. I could see an Andrade finish, you know, I could see her targeting the body of Murphy and potentially getting her out of there. But yeah, I'm going to go with Andrade win. This fight's an interesting one. Paul Craig against Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker's the favourite, which I'm actually surprised with because of, you know, recent history of the two fighters. But I do like Johnny Walker in this matchup. I just don't think Paul Craig has the striking to, you know, give Walker problems. I think Walker's an absolutely, you know, sort of tremendous nail. When he's in there with an inferior fighter, he can make it look, you know, special. When he's in there with someone who's on the same sort of skill length of him, it kind of gets to him, and he's never really showed the potential that which we've seen since his earlier sort of UFC fights. I don't think Paul Craig's got the sort of striking ability to give Walker problems there. In terms of the wrestling, I've never been too high on Craig's wrestling to the point where he's able to shoot for a double leg and get the takedown. He's always looking to kind of pull guard, and I just don't know if that's going to suit him in this fight. I can see Johnny Walker getting him out of there. You know, I'd love to see a Paul Craig victory here, up the fellow Brit, but I'm going to go with a Johnny Walker finish inside of round 2. Seeing Albe being involved potentially. Paul Craig's got heart, and I wouldn't be surprised if he could pull this one around, but I'm going to go with Johnny Walker. On the prelim, guys, I've got some quick picks I want to go with. We've got 4 fights I just wanted to go through on the prelims. I'm going to miss the Mauricio Hua fight because he's such a dog. I don't know where to go with this one. I'm going to go with Robocop. I think he's going to get a win on the night. I'm going to go with Thiago Moises. I've always been impressed with him inside the lightweight division. A really high-level grappler. Jolton Almeida just has been coming on as of late, and he's an absolute giant favourite on this card. If I was putting money on it, he would be part of a parlay I'd do for sure. And on the early prelims, I'm going to go with Wally Alves, who's an underdog against Nicholas Dalby. I think in his own back garden, I think Wally Alves can get it done. He looked really good in the past, and he's definitely stumbled as of late, but I think he can get it done with the Octagon returning to Brazil. Thank you for watching, guys. Leave your sort of picks in the comment section down below. I'd love to see what you guys think about this card. I think the higher you go up the card and you start looking at the co-main and main event, those are the fights where they are real sort of pick'ems. I think some of the other matches on the card aren't as well sort of matched for competitive fights, but the two at the top could go either way, in all fairness. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time, guys. Thank you for watching. Peace out.